lovelies, welcome to another video. My name is Jade and I help people reclaim back their power physically, mentally and spiritually. Now today I'm going to be discussing how you can have a healthy relationship with sex and your own sexual energy, especially whilst on the spiritual path and also just in general. Now, unfortunately, sex is very misunderstood, abused, and exploited in our society in general. And a big problem I see is even in the spiritual religious communities, especially in religious communities, they kind of just shun sex altogether and really enforce the idea of celibacy because they kind of see sex as very dirty, very shameful, something that can never be sacred, something that can never be holy or pure or loving. But then on the other side of the coin is the atheists, and they do the same thing really, but the opposite, in the form of they just exploit sex, they treat it as an addiction, they massively abuse it, and at the same time they don't treat it with love or see it as holy or sacred. And they do the same thing, they shame it, especially when it comes to women. So can you see the same pattern of both sides? It's quite ironic, right? So what's really helped me is studying more tantric sort of practices and studying Taoism philosophies to do with sexual health, sexual energy in general. And what I learned was basically the secret to sex is basically that sex is a sacred energy exchange. Now, when you understand this, you will not want to go around abusing it. You will not want to go around just shagging any old person, especially strangers that you don't even know. What really will help you have a healthy sexual relationship with yourself in life is basically having sexual hygiene. And I'm not talking about physically just because of STDs, I'm talking about energetically. You need to have really good sexual hygiene for your etheric body. And this is because every time you have sex, like I explained in my What is the Truth About Sex video, which I'll link here, you are basically getting someone else's energy imprinted into your etheric body. Now, we have a physical body and we have our energy etheric body, which of course affects your physical body and your minds. So if you're having sex with someone and they're really, they're not a nice person, they have loads of trauma that they haven't healed or addressed, they have loads of issues, they have mental health issues, physical issues, they just have a lot of dark negative energy in general, that will go into you. A portion of their information gets transferred into you because you are an energetic being. It's like an electrical current. And this is why there is no such thing as no strings attached sexual casual relationships. That is a myth, that is BS. And this is because you create an etheric connection, an etheric cord to everyone that you have sex with, because everything holds information. Even this chair I am sitting on will hold information. Even a necklace that I will wear, it holds my information. And this is why certain psychics, like I explained in my other video, will pick up on the information just by holding an object that someone has or worn or whatever. So it's really important to never sleep with anyone you wouldn't want to be. It's really important to be very cautious and careful who you have sex with. And this is the number one thing to really, truly accept and understand to have a healthy relationship with sex. So be very careful who you sleep with. And unfortunately, people treat sex so casually nowadays, and they just go around shagging anyone they meet on Tinder. They go around and shag any sort of random person they met in the club. Like, it's really quite dangerous, especially for empathic people and highly sensitive people, to be this way. And I know from my own experience, and it will massively lower your frequency depending on who you did have sex with. So it's very important to really only be be intimate and have sex with someone that you actually love, someone that you actually care about, and this will heighten your frequency. This is when sex becomes powerful and magical. It's because that love vibration is so raw, it's so pure. It's like the highest frequency that you can emit and create, because with sex you're creating, okay? And unfortunately, most people have sex purely from their ego. They purely just treat it as a fake performance like you see in porn. And this is why it's, again, number two, the very important thing to do is to avoid porn, because porn makes you have a very distorted view of what sex is supposed to look like, sound like, and feel like. And it's all wrong, it's all fake, massively. So really understands that that is BS, that is fake, that is basically a weapon to lower your consciousness level and to lower you into like a very primal, fake, sort of shallow, superficial state of being with sex, especially because sex can create. It's the same as creative energy. This is why sex magic works. This is why sex is like creates life ultimately. I mean, what is the main purpose of sex? Is to create life. And this is why women get more affected by sex than men, because our wombs are literally gateways to source. Your womb is a gateway where souls come into you. So you will absorb even more energy than a man when you have sex with them, and then that energy will linger in your womb. And this is what can cause womb trauma, especially if you get raped or sexually abused or assaulted. And it can hinder your whole life. This is why sexual trauma, and when someone gets raped, it literally destroys your life, because that is how powerful sex is. One of the most intense forms of trauma is sexual trauma, because the energy lingers inside you for so long, even with men as well. So that proves how powerful it is. So needless to say, you should never underestimate the power of sex, because it creates life, and it really should be respected. It really should be seen as sacred. It really shouldn't be shamed or seen as dirty, etc. So eradicating porn and stopping being sleeping around and just seeing sex as just casual and like, oh, no big deal. Those are the two things that will really help you have a really good, healthy relationship with sex. And remember, with the porn industry, most of the people you see on porn are actually trafficked women and children as well. They are not even having sex, like consenting to it. A lot of the times they're being raped, they're being forced to perform. Sometimes it's just hidden cameras in general. Like what is it, Pornhub allows 70,000 child pornography videos to be uploaded to Pornhub every single year. Like, that is insane and disgusting. So if you are struggling to transition off porn completely, a really good thing that I would suggest you do is just follow people's OnlyFans. But again, try to follow people who are like more conscious, more sexually aware of how sex is, and they respect themselves, they love their bodies. Like, there's nothing wrong with a woman's naked body, okay? A woman's naked body is not innately pornographic. It is not innately dirty, disgusting, you know, shameful. Like, it is our nude body, just like a man's body. But unfortunately, porn, the brainwashing of porn has instantly made people see the female form, our breasts, our bums, our whole body as dirty and disgusting, shameful. It's just insane. So a healthy relationship with sex is really embracing and loving our bodies. It's not about abusing it. View her body from your heart, not your ego, if that makes sense. And the biggest thing that will help change your paradigm with women and just looking at, you know, them in a dirty pornographic way is stop watching porn, because all that imagery is very abusive towards women in general. It's very shameful. Try to educate yourself on tantric practices. Try to follow sex conscious women, you know, tantric teachers, people who teach Taoism philosophies when it comes to sex. So, you know, goddess type women, you know, women who embrace their sexuality in a healthy manner. Like, there's a huge difference between a woman posing naked or dancing or whatever, who really embraces her sexual energy, who really embraces her sensual, beautiful energy, because that's natural, that's beautiful, there is nothing wrong with that. It's one type of our divine feminine energy. That's who we are, just like a man has it as well. But there's a huge difference for a woman to be acting that way, and then for a woman to just completely act like a porn star, because that is all ego. It's a very masculine energy. It's a distorted perception of what sex should be. It's very abusive to women. It's very degrading to women. It's very yeah, it stems from trauma, most of it, and even most porn stars were sexually abused. So it's such a low frequency thing to watch that sort of content. It's extremely low frequency because you're watching just trauma, extreme trauma in so many different forms. And that's why it's free. It's a weapon to make the sexes be opposite, to not actually have real genuine sex. And the only way you will have a healthy relationship with sex is when you start having sex with love, is when you start listening to your heart, opening your heart. When you have sex with someone, you become really vulnerable, and that intimacy is magic and blissful, because you're no longer just wearing a mask having fake superficial sex where it's just nothing really behind it. So really opening your heart and really attracting a person that's special and loving, and just to be raw and authentic and just really connect in an ancient, passionate, you know, powerful way, where you just moan and make all sorts of noises. You don't care how your body looks. It's almost like a meditation, like that sort of sex. Passionate, real, raw, not fake, superficial, fake orgasms, fake moaning. Like, that's boring, and that's all that porn is. Creative energy is the same as sexual energy. This is why sex magic is one of my best ways to do spells, because it's just so powerful. So really viewing sex with respect and not seeing it as shameful or dirty. You will only see sex as shameful or dirty if you view it from a pornographic state of mind. That's the difference. So if you see a person shaming a woman for revealing her body, because she loves herself and she wants to show, because some women get, you know, it empowers them to just be nude, it empowers them to just, you know, want to be nude sometimes, and it's beautiful. And some women get empowerment from covering up, you know, everyone's different. Some women get shamed just for breastfeeding in public, which is insane. Like, that is the most natural, beautiful thing a woman can do, is to feed her own baby. But because she's flopped her boob out in public, oh, people freak out and think she's a whore. It's insane. And the only reason they think that is because they have such a toxic paradigm and view of what sex actually is, because they've watched loads of porn, because they've been brainwashed. So you'll always see, if someone shames a woman who innately is not acting like a porn star, who is just embracing her body, who's being natural, but then someone is calling her a whore or a slut or whatever, then that just proves that they watch porn. That just proves that they have a very toxic paradigm with sex in general. Because humans are natural mammals. Like, we used to live in tribes where women could walk around topless, and they still do in some parts of the country. But do the men, you know, walk around with boners 24/7 because a woman's walking around topless? Of course they don't, because they haven't been brainwashed by porn. They have that just natural respect for the woman. They don't care, they don't batter an eyelid. And there is men like this. A man who is in control of his sexual energy is a focused man, and a focused man is a very dangerous man to the negative agendas. So really realize what sex is: sacred energy exchange. Really realize that it is a natural, beautiful thing when done in the way that is pure, beneficial to you. Of course, everyone has their own free will and do as you please, But I can tell you from my own extensive experience from all types of sexual energy, like experiencing it, it will not give you that inner peace that you're looking for, because it's the ego that ultimately wants you to have sex with so many people. If you find that sexual addiction isn't always because you're addicted to an orgasm. It's not always because you're addicted to the pleasure of an orgasm. Sexual addictions a lot of the time can just be your own insecurity. And when a woman especially acts very promiscuous in a toxic way, she a lot of the time probably grew up without a father figure. She grew up without that masculine energy giving her love. This is what happens with me, because I didn't really have a father for many years of my life when I was young. I, as an adult, grew up to just want male attention, and I didn't know why. And that's why I would overly give myself to men who were just not good for me and toxic or abusive, because I wanted to fill that void, that trauma void of, oh, I need masculine energy to love me. And this is just hilarious, because many people don't know that you are the key to give yourself that energy. You don't need a man to love you. You don't need anyone to give you that, because you can never get that externally. That will come from self-love, self-worth, accepting and knowing and claiming back your power, claiming that you are powerful, you are worthy, you are loving. No matter what people say to you, no matter what people do to you, that's what gives you that power, okay? And for many years, I was always looking for men, to give me that, oh, I'm attractive, I'm worthy bullshit, because that's just insecurity that stems from trauma. So it's really important to do shadow work and to question, why do I want to have sex with this person? Why do I want to have sex in general? What is making me obsess over a certain person? Because I can tell you now, I've become very neutral to sex. I don't crave it in an addictive manner like I used to years ago. And that's because I've done the shadow work, I've become whole. I now have that masculine energy and I have my feminine energy. And when you become whole, you no longer crave sex. You no longer have that addictive personality of like, oh, I need sex. It just goes away naturally. And when you do have sex, it's for, the beauty of it, to really be intimate with a partner, to just share that beautiful moment of ecstasy and bliss together, but on your own terms when you want to, not because your body is craving it or your insecurity is driving you to, your ego is driving you to, oh, I want to have sex with an attractive or rich person because that person makes me feel good about myself. If I get accepted by being intimate or getting laid by someone who is rich, famous, attractive, then that makes me have an ego boost. That gives me, self-worth, basically closure that I am good enough. This is why many men and many women always strive to get laid by someone that they deem higher than themselves. And this is an extremely toxic thing to do, and most people do it in the world. But that ultimately is stemming from your own insecurities, your own lack of self-worth, lack of confidence. So have that analysis with yourself, sit yourself down and be like, okay, be honest with yourself. And I can tell you now, nothing beats having genuine love, genuine sex with someone you truly love. Because that is on a whole other level, that sort of bonding, that sort of intimacy. Because it's real, it's raw, it's pure. And spiritual sex isn't meaning, oh, physically it has to be all vanilla and boring. You can still be kinky, you can still be passionate, you can do all sorts of positions that you want, but it's the energy that's important. It's the authenticity, it's the authentic bond that you have with that person. And you are open, you are vulnerable, you are accepting of each other, no matter what happens. You don't have to feel fake. You don't have to look a certain way. You can have no makeup and look like, a bit shit or whatever, but you can still love each other and you can still share such a beautiful thing. It doesn't have to be superficial and shallow. So I hope these points really help you, and check out my other videos that I have done on sex and the difference between spiritual sex and porn. Let me know any questions you have in the comments below. Do like, subscribe and share. I also have a website called thegoddesscoven.net, which I have a free third eye detox ebook, which you can download completely for free. And this guide will help you open up your third eye, which of course is very beneficial when it comes to sex as well, because then you just, again, amplifies it even more. Because remember, sex is like a meditation. It's like a movie meditation, like dancing with another partner. So I hope this inspires you. Lots and lots of love. Ahimsa.